green slime ball, the toad. It's quite happy in this bacterial brood of filth and decay. That's because its skin is covered in a protective coating of slime. It hops into number 8 in the countdown because scientists have discovered that it produces a mucus that contains a cocktail of truly amazing chemicals. And if you know how, it's easy to get a sample of slime. One of the main functions of glands in the skin is to release a mucus that keeps the surface of the amphibian moist and healthy. And some toads can release an awful lot of mucus. When scientists started analyzing the slime, they discovered that toads are walking pharmaceutical companies. The mucus contains a battery of chemical defense systems. Slime from this African clod toad was found to contain a family of compounds called megamins that are antibiotic, antifungal, antiparasitic, and antiviral. It's a useful chemical to have on your skin when you're a toad that lives in stagnant microbe-filled water. And now humans can use a synthetic form of the compound as an antibiotic cream that rapidly heals our skin wounds. Our skin may not produce as much mucus as a toad, but we do have our own slimy defenses against bacteria hidden inside our nose. Take a close look, and you'll discover that all kinds of germs get stuck in the groove lining the nasal cavity. The fun begins when we try to get the mucus out.
Here, Sadie, blow your nose.
While blowing your nose removes some of the offending goo, most of it runs down the back of your throat. We swallow more than 1 quart of snot every day. In 2004, an Australian lung specialist suggested that picking your nose and eating it could be one of the best ways to stay healthy. He claims that because mucus in the nose filters out large amounts of bacteria, when the dry remains of booze hit the intestines, they work just like a vaccine to strengthen the body's immune system. At least the toad doesn't have to pick its nose to get at its body's chemical defenses. But even this super slime is no match for the versatility of some of the remarkable substances we'll meet later in the countdown. Number 7. The next contender in our countdown of extreme slime balls doesn't have to go to the hairdresser to get a spiky coat. It has a very different reason to have goo spread on its head. There's no need for slimy hair products when you're a hedgehog. Nature's very own punk rocker is number 7 in the countdown because it found another most unusual use for gooey substances. Occasionally, when it's out hunting for insects, it might come across something that smells really disgusting. But instead of leaving it alone, the hedgehog starts licking it. It will lick and chew and bite, and then perform the most extraordinary contortions to start spreading the spit across its spine with its tongue. It gets so carried away, it works up a real lather of foamy saliva. Nobody's quite sure why the hedgehog carries out this unique self-anointing. Some researchers think that it repels parasites. Others have suggested that since the hedgehog's saliva takes on the smell of the object it bites, By smearing the goo onto its back, the hedgehog can disguise itself with an odor so repulsive it will scare away predators. And this could be why, back in the Middle Ages, people believed that hedgehogs carried apples on their spines and would take them back to the den to eat. It's a nice story, but since hedgehogs are insectivores, it's more likely that the answer lies in slime. Some scientists believe that if a hedgehog wanders into an orchard, it could be overwhelmed by the smell of rotting apples. This could trigger a bout of frenzied self-anointing, and in the middle of its contortion, the hedgehog ends up wearing an apple. Scientists are now confident that fruit's no longer a fashion accessory for hedgehogs, but they're less certain about just why it wants to get lathered in smelly slime in the first place. At least far more is known about just how important goo is for our next slippery contender.
Number 6.
Sliding in to number 6 in the countdown is the snail. It's more famous for its slime than its speed, except in common England, home of the World Snail Racing Championship. More than 200 thoroughbred snails are raced over this 13-inch course. The organizers know that to have an exciting race, the white tablecloth must be kept nice and damp. They use a watering can to facilitate the best slimy conditions, because without mucus, these snails will go nowhere fast. Even in perfect conditions, it will take a racing snail more than 2 minutes to complete the course, traveling at a breathtaking 0.01 miles per hour. When scientists analyzed the way snails move, they discovered that the slime produced by glands on the muscular foot had amazing properties. Although the mucus is about 96% water, it also contains a few special proteins. These molecules make the slime sticky when the snail pushes down on it using just moderate force. But if it pushes harder, the cross-links in the proteins break apart, and the mucus becomes a slippery liquid. Remove the force, and the proteins bind back together, and the slime returns to being sticky. That's how snails defy gravity. They can use sticky slime to cling upside down. Or if they push a little harder, they get a nice slippery surface so they can move a little faster. Unfortunately, this amazing mucus is expensive to produce. When snails eat, 70% of the energy obtained from the food goes straight into making slime. But for snails and some researchers, it's well worth the effort if you can create one of the world's most extreme all-terrain vehicles. Just ask Brian Chen and Kiko Versoy from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They created artificial snail slime.